Tonight on NewsWatch, an administration entangled in scandal. Will President Obama face any backlash?
Plus, forced to flee because of homeschooling. What comes next for one German family now that an appeal for asylum has been denied?
And on the brink of bankruptcy, see what's being done to save Detroit. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. A growing chorus of critics is circling the White House. Good evening. I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Wendy Griffith. Those critics are accusing the president of passing the buck on a number of scandals. That chorus now includes not only Republicans, but the media and members of the president's own party. Heather Sells has more in tonight's top story.
The fingers pointing at the White House are now coming from many directions. Democrats like Congressman Keith Ellison and Senator Patrick Leahy say they're disturbed by news that the Justice Department acquired Associated Press phone records. New York Times columnist Maureen Dowd has scolded the Obama administration for bungling Benghazi and then covering it up. And today, House Speaker John Boehner challenged the president on the IRS scandal.
My question isn't about who's going to resign. My question is, who's going to jail?
The FBI and 3 congressional committees are now investigating.
The FBI is coordinating with the Justice Department to see if any laws were broken. I think, as everyone can agree, if not criminal, they were certainly outrageous and unacceptable.
What many in Washington are asking this week, just where does the buck stop? And isn't the president ultimately responsible? Obama has said he learned via news reports about the IRS scandal and the AP phone records debacle. And the White House explanation of what happened in Benghazi has changed multiple times. All of this has predictably fueled Republican outrage, but now that Democrats and the mainstream media are piling on, many wonder what drastic action the president might take to right the wrongs and steer the nation back on course. Heather Sells, CBN News.
And joining us now is Scotty Nell Hughes. She's the news director at the Tea Party News Network. Scotty, your group's sister organization was one of the targets of the IRS. What was that like?
Well, it's been a 3.5-year process that the IRS has made the TeaParty.net jump through every hoop possible. Now, we want 501c4s to be properly vetted, and that was obvious. This was obvious when we came back and answered the first round of questions. These groups need to be actually vetted and made sure that they're holding their feet to the fire to the principles that they're being founded on. However, red flags started to be raised on round 2 when the TeaParty.net was asked to supply every single donor that had ever donated to them, as well as their contact information, as well in detail every event they'd had in the past and in the future, including what senators and congressmen had attended both locally and federally, what vendors did you use, and who helped support and who attended these types of events. I don't know about you, Mark. I like to think I'm organized, but I don't know what I'm doing next month, much less 4 years from now, which is what the IRS asked for. And that was round 2.
Well, we have seen the IRS targeting, the AP phone monitoring, the Benghazi controversy. Do all these scandals point to a bigger problem within the administration, Scotty?
Well, it points to a bigger problem, and it actually justifies why people do not trust the Obama administration and our current government state. Why should we? Whether it be Fast and Furious, Solyndra, Benghazi, what's going on with Obamacare and the train wreck that it's becoming, and now we have the IRS and the AP wiretapping. Americans don't trust the United States government and Barack Obama for a reason. And every time that I think that he starts to regain some trust, something else happens like this.
Well, what do you think it's going to take to restore the credibility of this administration?
Well, honestly, the problem with all of this continues to be that the Barack Obama and all of his different hierarchy, they walk away and their hands are completely clean. Nothing seems to stick to them, which was very, very scary to me. So we still have a few more years left of this administration, and I don't know what it's going to take. I keep thinking with each scandal that there's going to be some form of impeachment trial started or some sort of calling for some heads to roll in his cabinet, but it doesn't happened. Benghazi linked to Hillary Clinton. This actually happened under Tim Tax Cheat Geithner. And now you have the current Department of Treasury Secretary, who he has not really made much of a statement about this yet. And that is wrong with President Obama. While he does get out there and he speaks the hard talk, what he doesn't do is he doesn't actually put the actions and the hard actions of firing people and holding them accountable for this sort of targeted discrimination.
All right, Scotty Nell Hughes, the news director at the Tea Party News Network. Thanks for your insights.
Thank you.
A German homeschooling family has been denied asylum in the U.S. In Germany, parents who homeschool are hounded, persecuted, fined, and sometimes jailed. The Obama administration says that's not enough reason to grant political asylum to a German homeschooling family now living in Tennessee. Now a U.S. Circuit Court has denied their appeal. Dale Hurd has the story.
The appeals court upheld the Obama administration's refusal of asylum to the Romica family. The Romicas fled Germany in 2008 facing criminal prosecution for homeschooling. They live in Tennessee. In 2010, they were granted political asylum by an immigration judge. But that decision was overturned by the Board of Immigration Appeals last year. And Tuesday, the three-judge panel of the Sixth Circuit issued a unanimous decision against the family. Uwe and Hannelore Romica began homeschooling in Germany because they didn't want their children exposed to things like witchcraft and graphic sex education that are taught in German schools.
Also, there were stories where they were encouraged to ask the devil for help instead of God, and actually the devil would help.
We found out what is in the textbooks. It's exactly the opposite from what the Bible tells us and teaches us, and we wanted to protect them.
While the appeals court acknowledged that the U.S. Constitution recognizes the rights of parents to homeschool, it refused to grant that what German homeschoolers face amounts to persecution deserving of asylum. Michael Ferris of the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, which represented the Romicas, said, "We believe the Sixth Circuit is wrong and we will appeal their decision." The Romicas told CBN News they're disappointed, but said God is in control. They know what they face in Germany if they're deported.
First, they would fine us with increasingly high fines, and they would threaten us to take away custody. There might be jail time too. But the main threat, I think, is the aspect of custody, because then, of course, the children are taken away from you completely, and I mean, that's what no family wants, right?
Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Well, today is the deadline for branches of the military to release their plans on how to integrate women into combat. Former Defense Secretary Leon Panetta lifted a ban on females in combat back in January. He gave the Army, Marines, Navy, and Air Force until today to show how they'll make that adjustment. While some say it's a big win for women's rights, others argue the move could impact military effectiveness.
Units that are thrown together or who have bad psychology or that are poorly led tend to die in hugely disproportionate numbers. So increasingly, the weight of these wars are falling on the shoulders of this very, very small band of brothers. And before we break it up and reassemble it, we better be darn well sure that we're doing the right thing.
Full integration of women in combat is expected to be complete by January 2016. Well, this comes as the military faces a big crisis. The amount of sexual harassment and abuse within the armed services is reaching alarming new highs.
Now the Pentagon is stepping in and cleaning house, demanding sweeping new changes. Ephraim Graham reports.
Another high-profile sexual assault case for the military. This comes only a week after an Air Force officer working in a sexual prevention office was arrested and charged with sexual battery. The latest suspect is a sergeant working out of Fort Hood, Texas. He too was working with a sexual harassment assault prevention program. Now he's under investigation for allegedly forcing at least one soldier into prostitution and sexually assaulting two others. Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel says he's outraged and disgusted by the amount of sexual abuse in the military.
Sexual assault is a despicable crime and one of the most serious challenges facing this department.
After this latest incident, Hagel's making an unprecedented move. he's ordering all of the military sexual assault prevention coordinators and military recruiters be retrained, re-credentialed, and re-screened. A statement released by the Pentagon read in part, "I cannot convey strongly enough Secretary Hagel's frustration, anger, and disappointment over these troubling allegations and the breakdown in discipline and standards they imply." The Defense Department recently released alarming statistics on sexual assault. Its annual report shows there's been a 6% increase of sexual assault in the military since 2011. Ephraim Graham, CBN News.
Abortionist Kermit Gosnell won't face the death penalty. His attorney cut a deal with prosecutors in exchange for life in prison without parole. A jury convicted the 72-year-old abortionist of killing 3 babies who were born alive at his Philadelphia clinic. Black pro-life leaders are calling for investigations of other abortion clinics like the one Gosnell ran. They gathered in the nation's capital and accused the abortion industry of targeting Black Americans.
Kermit Gosnell is a racist of the worst kind because he preyed on women and young girls of his own race. For more than 30 years, Kermit Gosnell participated in and perpetuated the epidemic of black on black crime.
Disturbing. Earlier this year, Black leaders pledged to find new strategies to spread the pro-life message to their communities.
Boko Haram terrorists are believed responsible for the murder of a popular Pentecostal pastor in Nigeria. Faye Pama was the secretary of the Christian Association of Nigeria Northeast Zone. Stephanus Foundation Director Mark Lipto says the pastor was killed in Borno State Tuesday afternoon.
Gunmen climbed his fence and got into his house and shot him down. You know, the sect says they're out for Christians. Being in that position, being so vocal, he must have been a very marked man.
Lipto says the pastor had several college-age children and one in secondary school. He asked that Christians pray for the pastor's widow and children and for Nigerian Christians who are living under intense persecution. To hear more of this interview, you can log on to the Global Lane blog at cbnnews.com.
Coming up, why some women are choosing to have surgery they may never need.
Ow, my feet hurt. My feet hurt, your feet hurt. White hot pain, I wanna cry. Is there anything I can try?
Why, yes! Introducing Struts Soul Angels, the human shock absorber that helps alleviate foot pain.
The first 10 steps in the morning to the bathroom were excruciating. Within 3 days after I put Struts on, it's been such a relief.
Slipped it on and almost immediately I felt a support, kind of like a pillow underneath my arches.
The Struts Soul Angel provides a great amount of relief and support throughout the course of the day, providing shock absorption and relief of pain.
On your feet without proper support can be painful. Struts Soul Angels promotes better balance, control, and body alignment. Standing in your heels all day is painful, but slip on Struts and you'll enjoy comfort and support 24/7. Struts is so versatile, you'll wear them in every shoe you own, even barefoot.
I'm on my feet all the time. I teach 11 and 12-year-olds. The pain was so much that I knew I had to do something. And with the Struts, I can do my job and enjoy my job.
I usually am on my feet from 8 to 12 hours a day. When I wear my Struts, it's like giving my feet a hug all day.
It's life-changing. I wear them from the minute I get up to the minute I go to bed.
Why pay $400 for custom orthotics?
Now get Struts Soul Angels for just $10. You also get Miracle Foot Repair Cream, absolutely free. Use it to help relieve dry, callous feet overnight. But wait, call right now and we'll double the offer free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Plus, you get a 100% money-back guarantee. If not completely delighted, send it back. But keep the foot cream as our gift just for trying. You get it all. A $70 value for just $10.
Oh, yes! Love my Struts, love my Struts. The best thing since sliced bread. They heal pain from toes to head. Get yours now, your doctor said.
Struts, be nice to your feet. Call now.
Call 1-800-787-1580 and get your Struts and Miracle Foot Repair for just $10 and we'll double the offer. That's 1-800-787-1580 or visit getstruts.com.
Vermont could be the next state to legalize physician-assisted suicides. The House has approved a bill that would permit doctors to prescribe a lethal dose of medication to terminally ill patients. The bill will now go before Governor Peter Shumlin, a strong supporter of the legislation. If passed, Vermont would join Oregon, Washington, and Montana to adopt such a measure. Opponents are concerned the law could eventually target the disabled and the elderly.
Actress Angelina Jolie is being hailed for her bravery after having a double mastectomy. A rogue gene inherited from her mother left her with an 87% chance of developing breast cancer. So she opted for a preemptive procedure called prophylactic surgery to slice that risk. Doctors warn it's not for everyone, but as medical reporter Lori Johnson tells us, it can be a lifesaver.
Sandra Cohen refers to herself not as a cancer survivor, but as a previvor. She made the difficult decision to have her ovaries and her breasts removed, even though she was never diagnosed with breast or ovarian cancer. But the lives of her mother and grandmother were cut short by it, and Sandra carries the gene.
It's kind of like you're sitting on a time bomb, waiting for cancer to occur. And it really does a number on you mentally, to deal with that every single day.
Sandra's decision to have radical surgery before there's evidence of cancer was backed up by a study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. Researchers looked at nearly 2,500 women with the BRCA1 or 2 genetic mutations and found the removal of ovaries almost eliminated ovarian cancer risk and reduced breast cancer risk by 2/3. Removal of breasts reduced the risk of breast cancer by 85%. Either procedure eliminated the risk of death by at least 2/3.
We've known for several years that removing the ovaries decreases the risk of ovarian cancer and breast cancer. But what we've been able to clearly demonstrate now is that that reduction in risk translates to women living longer.
One of the most important implications of this study is that women with a family history of breast or ovarian cancer may want to consider genetic testing to learn whether they have the gene. Once Sandra learned she had it, she consulted with other women who have it too and who had their breasts and ovaries removed as a precaution. That helped Sandra decide to have the surgery.
When you can actually see someone who's gone through it and they look great and they feel great, it gives you the empowerment to move on and to take action.
And Sandra said since she was finished having children, her main concern was making sure they had a mother for many years to come. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Up next, we visit what are called the dead zones of Detroit and show you what's being done to revive the city.
In 2008, my husband Gary departed for heaven. I was still grieving. And then to find out I had cancer, I began praying, God, how do I do this? Where do I do this? Cancer Treatment Centers of America was the place. Dr. Neelam outlined a plan that would take care of my mind and my body, and she prayed with me.
For Bible-believing Christians, we're able to pray with them in a much deeper way as they begin to really rely upon their faith.
At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we believe in the power of faith and prayer as indispensable allies in the fight against complex and advanced stage cancer.
I'm back in Telluride on the mountain skiing. I feel strong and healthy.
Advanced medicine and technology.
And I am a survivor.
The warm embrace of the Spirit and the power of prayer.
These are happy tears.
Please go to cancercenter.com/faith. Appointments available now. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits.
If you have Medicare and have a chronic breathing condition, you can take your medication using an inhaler. Or this, a portable nebulizer from Med4Home. Independent studies have shown a nebulizer may be more effective and easier to use than just an inhaler. Impressive. It's like getting hospital-quality treatment at home. So call Med4Home today to find out more. Med4Home is a specialty pharmacy that's here to help you however they can. They'll deal with your doctor, the paperwork, even ship for free. and their pharmacists and respiratory therapists are available 24/7. What's more, your nebulizer and medications may even be covered by your Part B benefits. For a better treatment at a much better price, call Med4Home now to learn how a portable nebulizer can help you start breathing better today. For more information, call 1-800-210-5821.
An emergency manager for the city of Detroit says the town is in worse financial shape than expected. A report to Michigan's treasurer shows the city is in $15 billion of debt, has a dismal credit rating that is, and suffers from unsustainable cash flow, with city retirees now outnumbering current workers. Experts suggest a complete financial and operational overhaul, including restructuring of the city's fire and police department. If Detroit declares Chapter 9, it would be the largest bankruptcy by a municipality in the nation. Detroit was once one of America's most successful cities, and now that it's on the brink of bankruptcy, some call it a dead zone.
Yeah, the buildings are in ruins, and the residents who could get out are long gone. Chuck Holton brings us tonight's Focus Report.
Some call this the dead zone, an area of near complete destruction many miles across. No schools or hospitals and few public services. Crime is the only growth industry here, with a murder rate higher than that of Colombia. This isn't Syria, Afghanistan, or Sarajevo. It's inner city America. Welcome to Detroit.
No police. Citizens are leaving because crime is very high. Those who can leave, are able to leave, they are leaving. You know, of course, there are some who cannot.
You know, it's hard to believe that there are places in the United States of America that look like this. I've been all over the world in the last 12 months, and aside from Mogadishu, I don't think I've seen any place that looks this bad. This is actually a historic building. It used to be the place where Packards and Studebakers were made. But today, it looks like a zombie apocalypse movie.
While there's plenty of disagreement on the cause, there's no question on the result. Many urban areas are becoming virtual wasteland. Here in Detroit, half of the citizens are functionally illiterate, and some city officials say the true rate of joblessness is over 50%. The city has so far avoided bankruptcy, though its long-term debt is greater than that of Zimbabwe or El Salvador. It's a vicious circle. The lack of jobs means loss of tax revenue. That has led to deep cuts in city services, including fire and police. Sergeant John Bennett has been a Detroit City cop for 16 years.
We've lost on the police department 1,000 officers that haven't been replaced in the last 5 to 6 years.
Those who remain say they can't protect the city, which now has the highest rate of violent crime in America.
How do you keep a city safe that has no tax base and the population is running out the back door, the front door, and the side door? What do you do? How do you stem that tide? What do you do to stop the bleeding?
I'm standing only about 100 yards inside the Detroit city limits, and right here I can see over a dozen homes that are either abandoned or burned out. They say here in Detroit there are over 45,000 homes like that, but the root cause may have less to do with the economic downturn and more to do with government corruption.
More government assistance hasn't helped. Several Detroit companies received bailout funds totaling nearly $100 billion. Yet Detroit still has the highest rates of poverty and welfare dependency in the nation.
I don't know how long I'm going to stay, honestly. I don't know how much longer I can hang on. Up to this point has been my commitment, my love of the city, my love of the community. This is my home. But as one of my coworkers said, you know, when she left, she said, I love the city, but it didn't love me back.
Where the government has failed, private charities are stepping in. One of the largest, Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries, provides meals and shelter for thousands of homeless every day.
The Detroit Rescue Mission Ministry started as a soup kitchen, and now we have progressed to being not only an emergency shelter, but also transitional housing, permanent housing, a treatment center for those suffering from drug and substance abuse or mental health issues, as well as we have different programs that help to rebuild the city.
These programs are making a difference for people like Dwayne Tabb, who serves as the facilities supervisor at one of the mission's campuses.
10 years ago, I came to the Detroit Rescue Mission. I was homeless. I was lost. I was drug addicted. I went into 90-day treatment. I went to school. I got an associate's degree, continued on and got a bachelor's degree, and I continued and got my master's. So I know that Detroit Rescue Mission saves lives.
In so doing, the Detroit Rescue Mission isn't just serving up food and shelter, but something better, which they believe actually has the power to turn the tide in America's inner cities.
Not only do we provide life skills to these individuals, but we also minister the Word of God, which ultimately is the crux of our mission.
From Detroit, Michigan, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
Great story, Chuck. Up next, how a $2,400 class could save husbands thousands of dollars. You won't believe this.
In 2008, my husband Gary departed for heaven. I was still grieving. And then to find out I had cancer, I began praying, God, how do I do this? Where do I do this? Cancer Treatment Centers of America was the place. Dr. Neelam outlined a plan that would take care of my mind and my body, and she prayed with me.
For Bible-believing Christians, we're able to pray with them in a much deeper way as they begin to really rely upon their faith.
At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we believe in the power of faith and prayer as indispensable allies in the fight against complex and advanced stage cancer.
I'm back in Telluride on the mountain skiing. I feel strong and healthy.
Advanced medicine and technology.
And I am a survivor.
The warm embrace of the Spirit and the power of prayer.
These are happy tears.
Please go to cancercenter.com/faith. Appointments available now. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits.
If you have Medicare and have a chronic breathing condition, you can take your medication using an inhaler. Or this, a portable nebulizer from Med4Home. Independent studies have shown a nebulizer may be more effective and easier to use than just an inhaler. Impressive. It's like getting hospital-quality treatment at home. So call Med4Home today to find out more. Med4Home is a specialty pharmacy that's here to help you however they can. They'll deal with your doctor, the paperwork, even ship for free. And their pharmacists and respiratory therapists are available 24/7. What's more, your nebulizer and medications may even be covered by your Part B benefits. For a better treatment at a much better price, call Med4Home now to learn how a portable nebulizer can help you start breathing better today. For more information, call 1-800-210-5821.
Ladies, I'm not sure you're going to go for this, but there's a new way to get pampered, save money, and spend some quality time with your husband.
Yeah, a salon in New York City is offering hairstyling classes for men. The course includes 6 two-hour classes, and husbands, you got to come prepared. That's because the study costs $2,400. But the instructor says it's worth it in the end. Husbands will learn to master a hairbrush and dryer, which will save their wives multiple visits to the salon.
Once they know and have the rhythm of using the brush and the blow dryer, it's easy. Roll the hair into the brush, hold the tool loose, not so tight.
Got it. It's just doing stuff together. It's another activity.
I see smoke. Is that good or bad? Smoke because she has products on her hair?
I can think of a lot of other things I can do together with my wife. Besides that, believe it or not, the class could potentially save families a lot of money, they say. A typical blowout costs about $35. And for women who go multiple times a week, it could cost upwards of $6,000 a year.
Oh, it's no joke.
Wow.
Your wife has long hair.
She does.
You might want to learn how to do it, Mark. That's all the time we have. Good night.
I'd butcher it. Have a good night.